My coworker won't respect a student's new name, so I won't respect hers. I am a high school teacher. Around 3 years ago, a student and her parents visited our school just before the start of the year. This student had been known as Jacob in our district since kindergarten. Now, at 15, she had come out as trans and wanted to be known as Janet. She had the full support of her family and, with them by her side, met with the administration before the year began to discuss her transition at school. In general, the process was relatively simple. Janet didn't have a PE class and wasn't an athlete, so locker rooms weren't an issue. She wasn't comfortable using the boys' restroom and understood that many girls would be uncomfortable with her using the girls' restroom. Therefore, an agreement was established, with Janet's full participation and acceptance, that she could use the single-person restrooms in the clinic or main office. The only challenge was her name in our grade management system. According to our state's law, students' educational records, which our grade management system was considered a part of, had to be in the student's legal name. We couldn't change Jacob to Janet without a new birth certificate or legal name change document. Since Janet wasn't legally transitioning yet, a workaround was discovered. In the grade management system, there is a space to put notes about students. Usually, these notes include information like please contact mom on her work number during the day or dad may not pick student up without mom's permission. They weren't official records and were just used to keep teachers, administrators, and staff aware of essential issues regarding that student. To assist Janet, a note was added that read, Jacob wishes to be known as Janet. Please refer to her as such in all communication and interaction. School then started. Most of the kids had no issues switching from Jacob to Janet or respecting her new identity as a girl. Gen Z is fantastic that way. The teachers all made the switch with only minor hiccups. A few of the older teachers misnamed her or misgendered her out of pure habit, having known her for years. However, a sincere apology and quick correction kept things running smoothly. Janet was happy, her parents were happy, everything was good. Then the second semester arrived. At the end of the fall semester, Janet completed a one-semester elective class with one teacher and switched to a one-semester elective class with Old Beach, a notoriously difficult woman to share oxygen with. Old Beach was on the cusp of retirement, and possibly close to death, based on her constant health complaints. She was stuck in her ways and refused to change her routines, opinions, or habits. Old Beach was also a widow and had recently started dating a widower who worked on our maintenance staff. This is important. Just before Christmas, and the end of the fall semester, Old Beach and the widower maintenance man got married. Like many newly married people, she began getting her name changed throughout the school, payroll, computer systems, door nameplate, etc. She was no longer Old Beach Jones. Now, she was Old Beach Smith. One day, shortly after the second semester started, Janet came to my class, which she had right after being with the newly renamed Old Beach Smith, looking as though she had been crying. I got the class started on an assignment and pulled Janet into the hallway to talk. There, she revealed that Mrs. Smith kept calling her Jacob, despite half the class correcting her and standing up for her. Mrs. Smith brushed off the mistake by saying that she just forgot and would try to remember next time. This continued for weeks. Every time Janet was in Mrs. Smith's class, she'd refer to the student by her former name. Each time, the students would correct her and remind her that the student's name was Janet, not Jacob. Every time she was corrected, she'd just say I forgot, I'll try to remember next time. Students, including Janet, went to the administration to voice complaints. Admin spoke to Old Beach and reminded her of Janet's transition and new name. She was asked, repeatedly, to be respectful and refer to Janet appropriately. Each time, Old Beach hid behind her age and habit, saying, I'm trying, but I'm an old lady who can't change habits easily. I'll try, but it's just an honest mistake. I may have been willing to buy this excuse if it weren't for another teacher, who I am close with, telling me that Old Beach was boasting in the teacher's lounge one day and confessed she had no intentions of gendering Janet appropriately or using her new name. He was Jacob for years, and the system says he's Jacob, so that's what I'm going to call him. So, I decided to teach her a lesson. You don't get to disrespect students and get away with it. As a gay man, I take it personally when LGBT students are disrespected. But, since Old Beach wanted to play, I would play. From that day on, I only referred to her as Mrs. Jones, her pre-married name, instead of Smith. I made sure to do it loudly and in front of students. When she'd correct me, I'd just say, I'm sorry, it's just habit, I'll try to remember next time. This infuriated her, but she couldn't do much about it. The added bonus was Gen Z's inherent love of, mess around and find out, without me involving a single student. Soon about half the student body forgot that Old Beach had gotten married. Of course, they all promised to try to remember next time. It was glorious. Every time someone called her by her former name, Old Beach would become angry and rant about people disrespecting her. She tried to get admin on her side, but the friendly, if somewhat spineless, principal just said, well, I'm sure it's just a mistake. No one would intentionally call someone by the wrong name. For the rest of the year, she fought a losing battle about respecting her new name. I left that school, for other reasons, over that next summer, but from what I heard, she fought that battle until she retired this past May, coincidentally, the same year Janet graduated.